Episode 170 of Gracefully and Frankly is here. Do not adjust your set because Aaron Davis has a little bit of a Phoebe Buffet from Friends sexy cold voice going on. Hi, Aaron.
Oh, hi, Lisa. My gosh. And this is the best I've sounded in at least a week and a half. And it's not great, but hopefully it's not painful for you listening.
Well, it's not painful for you to speak, right? That would be...
Nope.
Okay, so that's the most important thing. Yeah, okay.
The thing about this cold, and I think I mentioned it last time we were on, Rob brought it from his hockey change room in Canada, and brought it down to Mexico, and it's settled in real comfortable, and then it just goes straight for the throat, straight for the vocal cords.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it doesn't hurt you, and we will carry on. We want to do this show, and nobody's putting a leaded pencil to your head to make you do it. So it doesn't hurt. That's what's important. You and Mike had a road trip together, and I just love the video you posted on our Gracefully and Frankly page and on your own page. You know, I don't want to get into this, but just to mention that right now there's a human rights case going on between two people who played nice on the radio. And it's nice to know that you and Mike are genuinely just like family. You're such great friends, and I love when you get a chance to show that.
Oh, we really, truly are. We got together last weekend. Our friend and producer Ian, the General MacArthur, was celebrating his 60th birthday, and unbeknownst to him, his wife planned this big 20-person party at the local keg in Ajax, and he really, really just wanted a really small family gathering because this weekend, their firstborn, Campbell, is getting married, so Ian was just hoping for something very small, but then Anita sent out a message to me saying, look, if you're coming to Ottawa for Easter, any chance you could come to Ajax? And I wasn't, but I made a point of it because, you know, there are 3 people in the world I think I would travel for a birthday like this. You, Cooper, and Ian. And so I couldn't miss it. So, yeah, we had the party on Saturday night, and he had a great time, Ian did. Then Sunday, Mike got in the car, and he was my chauffeur, driving Miss Davis all the way to Ottawa.
Oh, I would love to have been a fly on the windshield for that trip. It sounds like a lot of fun. Did you have a lot of time to sort of reconnect and visit and talk about life, solve the world's problems?
We really did, and we had a chance to talk about that whole Derringer situation with Jennifer Valentine. God bless her, and Maureen Holloway, and having the backbone to stand up to just a radio bully and the hearings that are going on. Only the Toronto Sun has covered it. I don't know that anybody else has. We talked a lot about that. We talked about our history together. We talked about you. We even talked about doing a podcast. I mean, it came up at the dinner table on Saturday night. And, you know, as much fun as it would be, you and I know how much work it is,
Yes.
how much time zone juggling we have to do, and just how fortunate we are to have sponsors to make it even the least bit financially worthwhile. And that's why we say buy us a coffee, or thank you always to Sierra Sil and Envy Pillow. It's just not an easy thing to do. We would love it, but, you know, sometimes you just grab the moments while you can.
Yeah. Well, it's so great to know you've seen all these wonderful people from your radio life. And what about the littles? What about Colin and Jane? How are they?
Well, thanks for asking. They're busy, busy, busy. Yesterday was Daddy's birthday, so fortunately I was there to be able to tuck them in and stuff last night. And Mommy and Daddy went to see one of our favorite comedians, John Mulaney, in Ottawa.
Yes.
You've seen him live?
I have. He's just wonderful.
Yes. So they had that celebration. And today, as folks are listening to this, I am on a 2-leg journey on Porter, of course, from Ottawa back to Victoria, and then I will hop the ferry and get back to our cabin. So kids are doing great. They cannot wait for their baseball season to begin. And of course, we're watching all the Jays we can. So how are you guys doing? What are you and Derek doing for Easter?
Well, I'm going to be leaving, so I will be landing in Poland we'll get into that next week, but I'll be landing in Poland on Easter Monday. So I'm basically packing and fussing and doing stuff like that, and not having an Easter feaster this week. But we finally have had some mild weather in southern Ontario, southwestern Ontario, and it's been like 19, 22 degrees all over the place. The big melt is on, and it just feels like spring is actually maybe finally coming.
Well, there were moments when Brooke and I were out thrifting because she has this business now where she goes to thrift stores, she finds treasures, she knows what they're worth, then she cleans them up, packages them beautifully, and sells them online. And she's going to be doing a couple of different events in Pembroke over the next couple of months as well, with a booth and everything set up. So you know what that's all about. But there were moments in the parking lot when it felt like Ontario spring. And I was also reminded of just how ugly this time of year is.
Yeah.
Oh, the snowbanks with the white and the gray and the black. And oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And the gray sky and the mud, and you step
Oh,
on what you think is grass and your foot goes into it. And yeah, it's just a mess. And people, I don't want to sound judgmental here, but I just handled it differently. When my dog pooped, I picked it up.
oh
But
my
there are
gosh.
people who are facing backyards full of it right now and having to deal with that as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, nice time of year. Yeah.
Well, shit got real for you in many, many ways last week. Just the most horrendous story. And I'm going to shut up for a while and let Lisa tell this entire thing. You did a marvelous blog on it earlier this week. Gracefullyandfrankly.com is where you can read it, and at our Facebook page. But oh, Lisa, what you went through.
Well, it really wasn't about me.
Right.
A woman died, so
Oh,
I was just leaving Port Stanley, and there wasn't much traffic on the road. It was a clear, beautiful day, and I'll let people go to the blog if they want to read the entire story, but ultimately, a woman pulled a U-turn and pulled right out in front of a huge truck, and I saw everything. I was screaming no, because you could see what was going to happen and powerless to stop it, and I don't know what happened, if she had a medical issue or what, but the truck driver could not stop. He had no chance, and of course, he feels horrible. So I was the only witness, so I stayed, and I was there for about, 45 minutes or something, but they cut the woman out, and we were trying to talk to her, but we couldn't get in the car because of the way it was bent, and it was just too precarious, and of course you don't want to touch somebody when they're that injured, and yeah, it was really one of those things where you don't react until it's kind of over, and then it's like, oh wow, this is really traumatizing. The police were amazing. The Elgin OPP were fantastic. The firefighters were amazing. The first responders from the ambulance were incredible. Everybody was just so professional. They were just incredible and caring and worried about me and about the truck driver. And I was worried about the truck driver too. I was fairly certain the woman wasn't going to make it, and unfortunately she did die a couple days later. But I was so close that when they hit, glass flew over the top of my car, and I thought for a second I was going to get caught up in it, but fortunately I didn't.
and this woman was 83 years old. It turns out you found her.
83.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found her obituary. Someone had told me, a reader of my blog told me the connection between her and the woman's son. And so I knew who I was looking for. And she was very active. She had an active political community life. She was very involved in lots of organizations. This didn't sound like someone who shouldn't have been behind the wheel. Of course, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But she just sounded like a vital, active, happy, interesting woman. And just a terrible end to her story. I think, as weird as it might sound, she might have been happy or relieved to know nobody else got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
If something is your doing, you wouldn't want anybody else to get hurt in it. The truck driver and I have texted a few times, and he, of course, he's sick about it. He just feels sick. He says, I know I had no choice there's nothing I could have done, but my truck caused that.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about a truck, of course, they come in every size from a Ford F-150 to a transport truck. What size of truck are we talking?
Massive, tall water truck, and it's one of those ones that sits really high up and has a grill like the size of a small car. massive truck, and of course carrying water. So yeah, it was just awful. But and again, this might sound a little weird, but there was a fatal collision a couple days later, and I'm familiar with the OPP officers with West Region, some of them, and one of them was on Facebook talking about the road closure, and I just thought, you know what, he just pulled up to 3 people killed in a collision, 2 more airlifted to hospital, and this is his life. He does this every day. I can certainly suck up seeing one collision of that magnitude. So I suddenly got a big perspective on it. Like, they offered me victim services, and I didn't need it. It's very nice that they do it. A lot of people do need it, and I'm very glad it's available. But, what police and everybody else go through is just unbelievable. The one officer said to me, I'm almost numb to it right now, but he had gotten into a collision last year, and he said, I saw what my girlfriend went through, so I just want to make sure that you have somebody to talk to if you want to. And I said, I got people. I can talk to people.
So you were obviously traumatized by all of this, but you were the first person to call 911. I've only called 911 rarely on the highways, and once in the case of Rob when he fainted. And I was almost unintelligible when I called 911. What took over when you called for emergency services? Were you able to be the professional Lisa, or were you just someone who was traumatized who had just seen something? Who was on that call?
I was very calm because what I had in my head was the faster I make this clear to those people, the faster help will come for this woman. And I'm very good in a situation like that. Afterwards is when I, start to shake and bawl and tremble and whatever else. But in the moment when something needs doing, you want me there. I'm good at that. I can tie a tourniquet. I can do whatever else and not get queasy about it. But it's afterwards that I tend to have my moment.
And then I read in your blog that somebody was yelling at you, telling you there's a fire station right here. Why aren't they here? What was that?
Oh, some guy who was in the area pulled over, leaned into my car and realized I had 911 on the line and just started yelling that they weren't getting there fast enough, that they weren't helping quickly enough. And I understand the panic, every second feels like a minute.
Oh.
And the woman is obviously in great distress and bleeding and unconscious. And so he wanted the same thing I wanted. It's just that he didn't have control of his emotions, I guess. So I just shut him down pretty quickly, as nicely as I could, and carried on with the 911 operator, and he went away. Yelling at them is not going to help anybody, and it really doesn't get the important information to them, right?
Yeah, that's vital to keep in mind. If we ever keep our thoughts and wits about us, if something like this happens in the future. So walking away from this, which you did, thankfully, what do you leave us with after this?
Geez, it's something we all know, but to see it happen before your eyes, how life can be just obliterated in literally an instant. I really believe this woman, if she had a half a second of, oh no, I would be shocked. It just happened so fast. And I don't believe she had any pain. She wasn't conscious, but just that she was a great lady with kids and grandkids, and she was just gone in a second because of whatever happened, whether it was a moment's inattention or whatever happened. So I don't know. It just sort of reaffirms the whole life is precious thing. I know we know it, but it's something else to see it happen right in front of your eyes, right?
Right.
Oh, what we've been hoping for Canada's songstress has come true, Erin.
Yes, the scene of where she did her very brief comeback for the opening of the Olympics is where she's also going to have her concerts in September. Celine Dion is going to be performing a series of concerts in Paris. Isn't that wonderful?
It really is, because it looked like for a while it was possible she wouldn't come back, although she promised she would crawl if she had to. But they're selling tickets or doing pre-sales and stuff on her website, CelineDion.com, and she looks amazing, and she's going to sound amazing.
That is an incredible comeback story. The woman is nothing but strength and determination. So I mean, how can I not do a podcast with a scratchy throat, right?
That's right. She's coming back from stiff person syndrome. And
Wow.
I don't know, is it kind of like MS for some people where it comes and goes? And I'm not really sure about it, but I do know that it derailed her career for quite a while.
It sure did. And that is an instance for sure where I would have flight cancellation insurance. You know, if you're going to buy
Mm,
tickets to go to, because it crossed my mind how many people are going to buy tickets to go to Paris to see Celine
right,
Dion, which would
right.
be cheaper for some people than seeing Taylor Swift in their own home city.
That's a good point.
Want to make sure, obviously, that you have flight cancellation insurance. And then there's the story we saw this week about WestJet. Oh my gosh, WestJet finding new ways to disappoint every week.
Well, I wondered about this with them because a friend came back from Mexico, Cancun, shortly after I did from seeing you, and their flight got canceled by WestJet a couple of times, like over a few day period, and they had kids and they had to put them up. And then they sent a Sunwing plane and crammed them in. And they told them that it was for safety reasons. Well, nobody believes that. So now it looks like WestJet might have been caught because of a man who said he was told at the gate when the flight was canceled that it was because the plane was needed for another flight.
Hmm.
Then when he checked with WestJet later, WestJet said, oh, it was canceled for safety reasons. And he's like, you know what? You guys only say that because then you don't have to pay compensation.
That's
The
right.
flying rules are if you mess around and do something with your flights and don't deliver as promised, you have to compensate people. If it's for safety, you don't. So they just keep saying safety, safety, safety. So it will be interesting to see if that is proven. It sure sounds like it, and it sounded like it with my friend as well. She was furious. They had to stay 3 extra nights, 2
Oh,
children, she and her husband, hundreds of people being moved from resort to resort because nobody plans on extra people.
right.
And then WestJet just says, well, it was a safety issue and nobody gets a nickel.
Interestingly, when we were leaving Puerto Vallarta, we found ourselves on a Sunwing. And the whole debacle at the airport, because WestJet only had a couple of desks open, and it was about an hour lineup. And then you go to another terminal, and
Mm.
then you wait in line there to take a bus to the plane. And the plane wasn't WestJet, it was Sunwing. So the couple ahead of us had a baby who was an absolute delight, but the husband was saying, we paid for comfort seats, so we would have extra room with the baby. These are not comfort seats. And the flight attendant was very patient and wonderful, and she said, you will be automatically compensated. Keep an eye on your account. WestJet will automatically compensate you. And clearly it was something she had memorized because this is happening a lot. But the old switcheroo, and I know they own Sunwing, but if you book a certain row, and I don't think that I did, but these people did, then you should get your certain row, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And there are horror stories about, especially American airlines, which we can just laugh at because we're not flying there. But, about people getting bumped at the last minute or getting told their first class seat that they booked 3 months ago they can't have, and all of these things.
One thing for sure when you're traveling is if you've got your envy pillow with you, which we did all rolled up, I've got a picture of me in the airport with it, you're going to travel in comfort. But being here in Ottawa, where I'm sleeping in the family room, which is a beautiful pull-out bed, they've got a comfortable mattress on top of it. I have my brand new Envy Pillow eye mask, which Rob got me for Christmas. He got the 10% GF discount, and it blocks everything out with my earplugs and my eye mask. I swear to you, Lisa, the very first day I slept till 10:30 in the morning with kids getting ready for school, the dog being up on the bed with me, the whole thing.
Wow, that's incredible.
And it's ergonomic, contoured silk sleep mask. It is the loveliest sleep mask I've ever used. It has hyaluronic acid infusion, and it ships right away. I just absolutely love it. And if you don't love it, you can return it, but you are going to love it. And it's adjustable too. You don't feel like you're being held hostage somewhere. It is, It is a beautiful eye mask. And you know what? If Mother's Day's coming, which of course it is, you could ask for one.
That's right. And just say go to nvpillow.com and check out all their offerings and use the code GF for 10% off.
Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
You know, we love coffee, we love chocolate, but do we love chocolate enough to steal a transport worth?
Oh my gosh. I have been following this Kit Kat truck story like it's my own life.
So these Kit Kat bars disappeared, like about 12 tons of chocolate during an international shipment between Italy and Poland. And because I'm going to be in Poland, I was going to keep an eye out for it and probably hear in Polish about the woes of being short of chocolate for Easter, but they ended up finding it. They found all 12 tons, but they haven't found the people who tried to get rid of it.
Ah,
So it was a transport, and I don't know, how much 12 tons is, but that's a lot of chocolate. I think I could make it last a week or two.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so Nestle says that it was preparing to bring chocolate from other markets and do all this other stuff and make it right, but apparently they don't have to do it. So they're going to make sure that it's all traceable. Some people have brought up that, well, if it's been in someone else's hands for a few days, how do we know what happened to it? But yeah, I don't think that's really a worry, do you?
Well, any chance to get discount chocolate other than Easter Monday, I'm all for that. Bring on the hot chocolate. I think it was some newbie in the mob. It was their first boost, and they thought they were getting, I don't know, like sound equipment or something, and they ended up with a bunch of chocolate bars. And now they're going to be known as Kit Kat. That's going to be their mod name the rest of their lives. Oh, I've written a whole book about this in my head, Lisa. What do you think happened?
Goodness, you have.
Yeah.
I really don't know because remember the maple syrup heist here?
Yes.
In Quebec, there's money to be made on that kind of stuff. So I really don't know. I like your idea, though. Write that book and I will help you promote it.
Oh, the great Kit Kat caper. It was a Kit Kat burglar. Oh my gosh, now I'm hungry. So we found a survey on what Canadians are fed up with. And I know winter is definitely number one thing on the list, but it turns out Canadians are really kind of thinking maybe we should be done with tipping.
Yeah. H&R Block did the study. Almost 3/4 of Canadians who answered the survey said it's time to abolish tipping, and 93% said they get annoyed when the card payment machine asks you to tip. Well, I do too, depending on where it is. If it's, I'm getting my tires rotated or something like that, it's a little uncomfortable. Or if I picked up a to-go order.
Yeah.
Although I must admit I do sometimes tip. I don't tip the top, but sometimes I tip because I just think they don't make a lot of money. Anyway, so tipping is really getting annoying to people. And there's a whole theory around tipping that all it does is allows merchants and restaurant owners to not pay proper wages. And that's why we're tipping. So if people were paid a proper amount of money, they wouldn't need to be tipped.
That's a very good point. There are other societies that do it quite well without it. And you'll be able to tell us about that after your trip to Europe, because I remember being in Italy and I asked the server, is the tip included? And he wouldn't tell me, of course, because we were right there, at the square outside St. Peter's. And so I don't know if he goes to hell for this, but I double tipped him.
I double tipped once too until I realized, okay, yeah, it is included. And the guy's just looking for a little extra grease. But then again, when in Rome.
Yes, very good, perfect. So let me tell you what happened in a hotel room. I don't even remember if it was Friday night or Saturday night. The Sandman near the airport, near Pearson. I'm getting ready to check out, and online it says you can tip here via the computer. Usually I'll leave a 5 or a 10 in the room. And in this case, I think it would have been a 5 because it was one night. And it said, leave a tip. And I went, oh, okay. So I tipped, and it ended up being, I think, 10. So I'm leaving the room, and I see this lovely lady, and I said to her, I just tipped on the room on the computer. Did that go to you? She didn't understand me. And I said, parlez-vous français? And she said, no, habla español. And I went, aha, I can do this. So I communicated in my terrible Spanish that I had pagado for her. And she thought at first I was saying the internet didn't work in my room. But I said, no, does this tip go to you? And she said, no, Montoya. And I thought, oh, this is the Princess Bride. But no, her name was Montoya. Prepare to die. No, her name was Montoya. And so then I ended up leaving another tip electronically, but putting her name in it. So beware. When you leave the electronic tip, it's going to everybody. Leave the cash in the room. Don't do it via the tipping online. Because, it's just another way for the money to get lost and to get into the wrong pockets. And I wanted her to get the tip and not some, faceless pool. Am I being overly suspicious?
Well, I don't think you are, because there are places I remember I've heard of, yes. In fact, one where a niece of mine worked, where all the tips went to the owner.
Well,
And it was just one of those things. It was a terrible place to work, and it's no longer a business because I really think that the vibe of the place goes into the food.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, I think that's wise. Make sure it goes to the person who deserves it.
We have a tip for you. You can get 14% off your Sierra Sil simply using GF for these all-natural mineral supplements.
For your knees, for your ankles, for your hips, whatever it is that's causing you pain when you go to move, give Sierra Sil a try. You have nothing to lose, because if it doesn't work, which is highly unlikely, but if it doesn't, within 14 days, you get your money back. So give it a shot. It's all natural. It's not going to interfere with anything. It's not going to make your stomach upset, all that kind of stuff. And check it out at sierrasil.com. Look at the science. Look at all the testing they've done.
Yes.
And Michael, the owner of the company, is kind of like the hair club for men guy. He's also a client. And he knows exactly what he's talking about. And if you have any questions, he'd be happy to answer them. sierrasil.com. Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com. And your GF code gets you 14% off.
Well, I can't believe I've croaked my way through this episode 170 all the way to time for This Week in Totally Stupid, or...
I'm telling you, you should be singing Smelly Cat. I'm telling you. Anyway, all right. So the twit this week is Fergie, the Duchess of York. Is she still the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson?
I
don't think so.
Think so? No.
No.
You can be if you want. I'm going to make you the Duchess of York.
Okay, I'll be
All
the
right.
Duchess of whatever. So Sarah Ferguson, it was reported, was trying to pitch a TV show based on cloning Queen Elizabeth's corgis.
What's it called? Son of a bitch? Sorry.
She would create a company and sell clones of the corgis, and then they would be followed by the reality TV show, how this is all done. Now, she has put out a statement through her representative saying, this is false, this did not happen. I don't believe the statement. And the reason I don't believe the statement is because this woman not only begged creep of the millennia, Jeffrey Epstein, for a job, she also jokingly said that he should marry her so that she wouldn't have to worry about money.
Jeez.
Yeah. And considering what's going on with her ex-husband, the former Prince Andrew, I think these two were peas in a pod in ways we did not know. So, yeah, wanting to clone corgis, I think she did it. And that's what makes her our twit.
I got sucked in yesterday for April Fools. Were you sucked into anything?
No, but I did enjoy a post from London police talking about how they have birds now doing aerial surveillance, but I knew what it was about. What did you get sucked in by?
I was just waking up, having my first coffee, kind of forgetting it was April Fools, and I saw a post on Threads from Scotland Tourism talking about a volcano at Edinburgh Castle, first volcano on that mountain in 300 million years. And because we've been watching this Great Castles series on Netflix, I believed it. Oh, geez. What a maroon.
Just for a second, though, right?
Just for a second, because I texted you. I said, that's crazy about the volcano. Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Once you say it out loud, you realize, oh, what a twit.
Then it was a good joke, a good April Fool's joke. No harm was done.
It was.
You take care of your throat now, Missy. I prescribe lots of chocolate and other treats over the Easter weekend.
I am going to shut my pie hole and just be quiet and wish you a happy Easter and Passover to everyone and to you, my love, safe travels. But be sure and have a few stories. Make somebody try and sit in your seat, something that'll be really sticky and wonderful to tell.
I will try, although I do plan to sleep for the whole overnight flight, but I'll have stories, I promise. I don't know if you'll understand them because I'm going to learn a couple words in Polish.
Ah, good luck.
Right.
No swear words, though, okay?
Oh, those I already know. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.